It was another brutal day for the Bitcoin miners today. We had Marathon down significantly, Clean Spark down, not as significantly, but still pretty bad. BTBT also pretty down, pretty bad. We're going to take a look at those today. I'm going to talk about some support areas as well as resistances above. And then I'm also going to start talking a little bit about my potential exit strategies if things deteriorate further, what I have in mind for that situation if it does occur. So let's take a look at Bitcoin first. Bitcoin held up today. Bitcoin is actually it it tried to go back to that $64,000 high. It got rejected and started coming back down to 60,000. In fact, let me put on Bookmap, turn that on here. I'll bring that up in a second when it's ready to go. But we are going to hang out here above this box here for a while. We might do one of these where we consolidate what we like to call a pullback through time. That's where price is flat and not moving and allows like the RSI and other momentum indicators to cool off a bit before moving up again. Unless we get a big move down, which I don't know if we will or not, but unless we do that, we can expect at this time to probably rest above 60 for a while. And we'll take a look at the book map here to see where a lot of the support and resistance, like the really heavy stuff, is holding up Bitcoin. But currently, yeah, we're bouncing off that 15-day moving average. We might come back down to it at most 53,000 right now, but by the time we get there, it'll be around 55,000. So we might do that again, just like before. We came below it and then we came above it, bounced off, and then took way off again. We like to do that on the 15. I've noticed that a lot with a lot of different tickers. Bouncing off the 15 on the way up is actually a really popular thing for them to do. Let's take a look here. So this is, no, cancel. Okay, Bitcoin. This is on the book maps. The darker this red here is, the more the support is there. So let's take a look here. Let's get this here. So we have real strong support around the 60,500 mark. We have real strong support at right at the 60,000 mark. Let's see if we go further down, 59,000. So basically every $1,000, 58, we have really strong. This one is real strong, 57. 56 isn't as strong. Oh no, sorry, that was above 56. 56 is pretty strong. 55. So basically every $1,000 we've got a support on the way down. Look at down here. The 50 the 52 is real strong. Look at how thick that red line is and it gets real maroon there. And then above we don't have much. 64 is there, but it's been weakened. Look at it's bright. It's not dark. So it's not as thick as say 65. 65 is now big red mark above here. And above 65, we got 69, which isn't as dramatic. See what do we got in 70? We don't even have much for 70. Just that little line there. Above that, it's, up until 80. So if we get above 65, we might do a straight shot to 70, $80,000 once we get above that. So there is support, significant support for Bitcoin at every stage, every $1,000 below our current level. And above us, we don't have anything to 63 really. Like, look at how open air this is. If we get some momentum in, we're going right back up to 62, 63, 64. There will be a bit of resistance, but if we get through that, we're going to 65. And once we hit 65, we're clear almost to $70,000. And that resistance, as you can see here, is not that strong. I mean, it might gain strength as we get up there, but I mean, it's almost orange instead of red. And then the next one is 70,000 is where we get any real resistance. And after that, the sky's the limit, honestly. 80 will be coming in very quickly once we do that. If you like this is actually free for crypto. So if you get the Bookmap, if you download that, you can use it for free to monitor crypto. It does cost money if you want to monitor stocks, and it is a bit expensive, but crypto's free. If you want to just look at Bitcoin or some other cryptos, it's free and you can check that out. I don't have a link in the description. Maybe I'll put one. I'll put a link in there so you can find it easily, I guess. So let's take a look at Mara. Mara was down 16.53% today, and it's actually down further in after hours. That is really dramatic considering yesterday we were down, we were plus 2%, and then now we're down 16% today. That's even more than the expected move. That was very, very dramatic, especially considering earnings really weren't that bad. The only saving grace I'm seeing here is that this formation on the right here is looking like a mirrored version of this formation over here on the left, and whereas on the left this was a step down, on the right here this is looking like steps up. So there is a bit of a salvation there. As long as we stay in this upward channel I've got drawn here, as long as we stay in there, let me get rid of all my SMAs. As long as we stay in this upward channel, I'm going to hold the belief that this could possibly be a step up sort of situation versus breaking down. If it breaks down from here, like I've mentioned before, if it breaks down from below $25, we are going to go and visit $23. If $23 fails to hold, we are going right back down to $20. That is a significant drop from the $34 we were at yesterday. Very significant. It's almost $15. I am still up significantly on my Mars shares. I am up, I want to say like 130% still because I was buying down here, right? I was buying at, 15 bucks. I bought a bunch. I had a lot from before at $7, and I was buying again at $15, and then again at $18. So my cost basis is low. And if this starts to break down, this is where I'm going to, if this starts to break down, if it breaks below 23, I am probably going to sell my position to protect my profits. That is where I personally, and this is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. It is simply my plan. What I'm thinking about when I look at this chart is if it goes to 23, it's probably going to 20 if it gets under that. And if it gets under that, I am better, my capital is better served by selling out and then buying again at 20. If that doesn't happen, if it gets to 21 and turns back around and goes up, I'm going to be very upset about that decision. But right now, my thought is if it breaks 23, it's going significantly lower, maybe even all the way back down to 15. Um, and I will be seriously considering protecting my capital at that point because I am green and I don't want to see my green turn red. So that's where I am with that right now. So in the next few days, I want to see it stay in this upward channel, or at the very least, hold $23. We go, yeah, as I said, I want to see it hold $23. So I'll put this right at 23, and I'm going to lock it down, make it red, 3 points. I want to see it stay above that. Anything below that, I'm going to start thinking this is a double top, and that we're going to revisit $20, maybe even $15 or $16 if that happens. I am still bullish for the time being. This is not a terrible pullback. It's not great, especially considering Bitcoin is still on the move, mostly up. It's down 2% today, but I mean, it was up 7% yesterday and we dropped. That was garbage. We are holding the 15-day moving average that we bounced off before. We could bounce off of it again if this is a stair step up. But I'm watching that 23 level strong because that's where the 50 SMA is. If it gets under the 50, I'm going to be having a bad time thinking that the 200 is soon to come. Doesn't mean it has to, but if it goes under the 50, like it might come back up like that and then down to the 200. If we go under the 200, we're going back down to like 12 bucks, and I'm not having that. So that's what I'm looking at right now with Marathon. On the upside, if we get some good momentum, maybe some good news, 40 bucks is in view. Now, CleanSpark. Why did CleanSpark drop so dramatically? Yesterday, 13%. Today, 7.5%. It is dropping and still in after hours. Why did that drop? There was nothing but good news. They had a profitable quarter. Bitcoin was doing well. They have increased their hash rate 50% in just the last month. There is no reason CleanSpark should be dropping like this, other than it being a sympathy play off of Marathon Digital. That's the only thing. But it dropped so dramatically. Like, that is just so not cool. What the heck is that? Weird. Okay. I'm getting graphical glitches. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if everyone sees that or not. Anyways, that is really jarring. Let me reload my page. Okay. Yeah, that seems to have solved it. So Clean Spark, same sort of situation. We've got a bit of a stair step up looking sort of scenario here. This could end up being a head and shoulders or a double top. Time will tell. Right now we are on a trend line heading up. We have hit the 15-day moving average and we look like we could potentially bounce off of it. This one I'm less up on. Once we get below, I believe like $12. Once we're below $12, if that happens to Clean Spark, then I am now in the red on Clean Spark. Again, I don't want to do that. So I am looking at honestly 1350 as the hold. I'd prefer if $15 held. I really want to see $15 hold. If $15 can't hold, that's a time where I will seriously be considering whether or not I should be protecting my capital. Now, I haven't made any decisions yet. I haven't made any moves yet or set any stops yet. I do have in mind I could do put options as insurance like I did before. I wish I had held those now. Those would be doing very well right now if I'd held those. Oh well, what can you do? When the stock jumps up 20% after you buy a put option, you tend to sell it. Uh, so I could do put options still, or I could potentially sell shares if it breaks levels that I don't want to see it break. That's about all I can do right now. It is encouraging that on the daily chart, we've come down to the 15-day moving average and stopped there. It is also encouraging that we have come down to the 50 RSI and stopped there. This could be a simple 50 RSI retracement and then back up. That could be what, same with Mara, right to the 50 and stop. If you can see, we did that before back here. We had this big move up, right? We came down to here at $23, which was the 50 on the RSI, did a little sideways action for a couple of days, and then we went right back up again. We could very well be doing that right now. So that's why I'm not panicking, and I'm not super concerned about what I'm seeing here on this chart for that reason. Now, there's one thing on this chart that scares the crap out of me. Go to the weekly, and let's hide the drawings. Look at the wick on this thing. Look at the wick on this thing and this little blue body down here at the very bottom of the candle. That is terrible. I don't like that. Tomorrow, this candle better look better. Better look better. That makes a lot of sense. This candle needs to improve tomorrow. If we get a weekly close and this blue turns red, or stays as it is, or turns red, which would be worse. I mean, we're looking like a candle like this one, but on roids. We're coming right down probably to that 200-day at 17, 18 bucks and just slamming right into it, maybe even going below it, just like we did back here. So keep that in mind, because that is an ugly weekly candle. That is just an excessively ugly weekly candle. I mean, that's looking like this candle back here. You see this one back here on February 2021 where we had that big dip, or this disgusting candle here on April 2021 where we had that massive dip before we got a rip. I mean, that's even worse than the candle at the very top of the marathon chart on the weekly. Terrible, terrible, terrible candle. Same thing with Clean Spark. Let me hide those, and we go into the weekly. Look at that. That is a horrific candle. That needs to improve tomorrow. If that turns red tomorrow, 200-day coming in hot. 965. Like my price target then becomes 965, which puts me decently in the red, and I'm not about that light. I'm not trying to be in the red here. I mean, that's an even worse candle than we got here at the tops. I mean, it's like this candle back here. You see, that's like this candle, but even worse right here. This inverted hammer here, even worse than that. And look what happened there. It went from $20 all the way down to $5.50. I'm not holding on to that. No way, no how. Not doing it. What else here? I mean, they got a lot of long. Yeah, same right here. Same thing. That disgusting little body doji with long wicks, or like over here where it's just followed by dumps when you see candles like that on the weekly. So this candle better improve tomorrow. This candle doesn't improve tomorrow, I'm gonna make some serious thought. I'm gonna have some serious thoughts, make some serious decisions about whether or not I'm going to keep holding this in the short term. I will get back into it if it comes back down to this, the 15 week at 1073, or the 200 week down here at 958. I mean, I don't think it will get that low, but if it does, you better believe I'll double down on stuff. Again, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold anything. It's just what I'm thinking when I look at this. And I mean, I could simply choose to do a put option in order to protect myself on the way down. I might just do that. I might just take out my original cost basis and let the rest ride here. But once it starts coming down a bit more, if it does. But it really needs to improve tomorrow. This is Bit Digital. Bit Digital is down in the dumps a little bit. I do not like its current formation. It's very similar to this one back here that started on February 15th, and then we popped up and with that big bullish candle, and then we came right back down. We might get another pop up here to like that $3 range again. I don't think that would be long lived. I think we're going to be consolidating down here for a while, just like we did back here during this period. I think we might be doing that for a few months here until the halving, or maybe even till summer. Bit Digital, I'm chilling on that position. I've got my full bag. I'm just waiting. The RSI is getting very, very low here, but not oversold, so it could still create this megaphone that I really don't want to see it do, but it might do, and that would take the price down to 220 at this rate, even lower if it does start forming that megaphone again. Hopefully it doesn't break that. If it breaks that, we're going back down to the lows at $2. If it does that, that's super scary. I am actually negative on Bit Digital now. Given the last 3 days of moves, I am now negative on it. That kind of sucks. I've been negative on it before, though. I'll be holding it as a result. Because honestly, playing options on Bit Digital really isn't worth it. I've done it before. It's not worth it, to be honest. It's such a low value stock in that respect that I wouldn't. It's a waste of time. In my opinion. In my opinion. Do what you want. Bit Farms. What's going on with Bit Farms? They came to the 50. They hit the 50. This is what I'm afraid of for Clean Spark and for Marathon, that they come down and hit the 50. I mean, Clean Spark comes down and hits the 50 day. We're looking at 1163. Marathon comes down and hits the 50 day. It's almost there. That one's actually a little more reasonable. It's at 22. It's less further down. But Bitfarms hit the 50. Bitfarms goes below the 50. We're coming down. We're coming down to $2. That's the target. If we go below that 50-day moving average, we're going to $2, just like we did back in January. So keep an eye on that. We are outside of this upward ascending channel now. If we don't get back into it in the next 3 days, so by Tuesday of next week, we're having a bad time on Bitfarms. Again, I'm not super, super worried about Bitfarms. It is still in an upward trend, technically. It is moving upward. It is doing so. It could bounce off the top of this. The 50-day moving average could provide really strong support for it. We might see a big bounce. I do want to see that tomorrow. I want to see a big move tomorrow because I mean these weekly candles, these look terrible. These look like blow off tops. These look like something that comes before you get a catastrophe. Now, I mean, you had this one here that took it to its all-time high and then it just ground up higher from there. And then, I mean, that's cool. I hope that happens. But generally, I don't like seeing weekly candles with giant wicks on top. I mean, that happened back here in December 2023. This looks a lot like the Clean Spark wick, does it not? Let's go back here, right here in December. And then it came all the way down to 192 from a high of 355. So, I mean, it's not what you want to see. The week on the Bit Digital, again, yeah, oh, that one's really bad. It's just like this candle back here in July before we got the big sell-off, or I mean, honestly, this candle here in December before we got a big sell-off, or this candle here just a few days ago before we got a sell-off. This looks like that. If this candle doesn't improve, I fully expect Bit Digital to come down to about 220, maybe even $2. But we're still in an upward trend for now. Come over here, we're still in this upward ascending channel right here. We're still in that. We haven't broken it yet, so I'm not panicking yet, but I am mentally preparing myself to see these reach lower levels on the chart. I'm thinking about how I can protect myself or what actions I should take if these do eventually come to those prices. So I know it's kind of a sad day, kind of a rough day today. I'm not super concerned or super worried, but I do have in mind areas on the chart that I'm watching very closely for CleanSpark, Mara, Bit Digital, Bit Farms. I'm more concerned about CleanSpark and Mara. I have a lot more gains there than on the other two that I'm concerned about turning red. Like I mentioned before, we got for CleanSpark, I'm watching $15 very closely. That's an area of concern for me. If it gets below that, I'm going to start worrying about this being a double top. on the way up. I mean, we could go as high 20s or 30s. Honestly, it deserves that. It's had nothing but good news, nothing but great operations at Clean Spark. There's no reason for this drop right now, which is why I'm kind of believing that it's probably going to turn around, that we might be on the stair step on the way up. The right is going to be bumpy. This is one of those bumps in the road that we all have to deal with on this journey. Um, and today's just going to be one of those days that's going to be harder than other days. I mean, if you were in December and you bought at $26, I mean, all you had to do was hold through January and most of February, and then you're golden at the end of February again. And that will be the case again, I believe. Or July. If you bought at the peak of July, you're still making money right now. The peak of July was less than $20, and we're currently at 25.72. That's $6 of gain. If you bought 100 shares of it at $20, you're still up almost $600 on this position. So I am of the belief that even if you bought at $34 6 months from now, you're probably still going to be in profit. That is my belief. That is why I'm in these positions. That's why I'm still holding them, but I'm not. The only reason I'm looking at what's the line in the sand is because mentally I need to be prepared to take my capital off the table if it crosses my line in the sand. And each one of us needs to decide, where is that line in the sand? Where is the point where I'm going to take my risk off the table and wait um, for a better entry, or maybe I'm just totally done with it. I won't be, but if you've got a line in the sand, you said, well, this is just where I'm done. Well, you have to decide that, and you should decide it before it comes, because if it comes to you on a surprise, you are going to act emotionally and irrationally and end up losing more money than you should, or missing out on gains you could have had. So think about it now, write it down, know where your line in the sand is on these trades. Um, for Mara, I'm going to be looking very, very closely at $23. I want to see it stay above that. Below that, I start getting a little nervous. In the short term, I need to preface that with in the short term. Long term, I think we're going to be okay. But anyways, with that said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.